Okay, hi Alexandra. Thank you for your opportunity to see this video. My name is Florencia from Fransisca, and today I will present to you my result of my thesis entitled with the use of crossword with pictures, e-learning vocabulary for junior high school, student perspective and teacher reflections. The background of this research: vocabulary plays an important role in teaching and learning English. When the students have a lot of vocabulary, it will totally help them in mastering English. According to Clauston, vocabulary is the main point in English language teaching because without having enough vocabulary, the students cannot understand others or express their own idea in English. There are two kinds of methods that can be used by the teacher in teaching vocabulary. First, they can use learner training, and the second is word games. In this research, the researcher will use word game in the form of crossword because crossword puzzle has been used as a game that sharpens skills and vocabulary mastery in English, which provide opportunities for students in practicing and making the learning process attractive and fun. Suggested by Undang-Undang RI nomor 20 tahun 2003, pasal 1 ayat 20 tentang sistem pendidikan nasional. The teacher also can use media because media has aim as one of supporting components that support the successfulness of teaching and learning process. And suggested by Pasha, the media are audiovisual, visual, audio media, sabernaka, map, or globes. In this research, the researcher used visual media in the form of pictures. But even though the teacher already used several media or several methods in teaching and learning process, if the student doesn't have interest in learning vocabulary, it will make them difficult, and they will not like material, and it will make them difficult to concentrate and understand the material that delivered by the teacher. Why? Because according to Stefani, interest is a tendency that causes someone to find or try activities in the field, which is mean that they will do something, they will learn something without any force and with pleasure, with their happiness. And another problem why the students have difficulty in learning vocabulary is the elimination of English in elementary school. As we know that since 2013, English has been eliminated from elementary school, and it's mean that the student who enter junior high school not have enough basic English because not all of them join English local content in elementary school. Okay, the next is student problems. During the observation on PLP at SMP 1 Kota Jambi, the researchers found several problems from her teaching process at the 8th grade. The problem is the student doesn't like English. They didn't have interest in learning vocabulary because the learning process was boring and monotonous. They said that they had difficulty in comprehending and memorizing new vocabulary, and when I communicate with them with English, they cannot respond me with English because of their lack of vocabulary knowledge. And when I see the result of examination score analysis, I found that the 8th grade was the class that has the most remedial students among the other 8 grades. They have 16 students. And I confirmed these problems to their teachers, and their teachers say that they're usually busy with their own group chat. They had less attention, not really focused when the teachers teach in that class, and they had not too good percentage among the other class. And that's why I choose crossword with pictures to help me in teaching vocabulary in this class, because by the way, crossword with pictures is a combination between visual media and word games. Crossword in here is a good technique because when the students find an answer, they also find the synonym and definition of its words. And about the pictures in here, I choose pictures as as a clue because its attractiveness and can give easiness to the students in memorizing and remembering new vocabulary. Why? Pursuant to Willingham research, the reason why the student remember everything what the television show to them, then the teachers say to them, the teachers teach to them, because of pictures help students retain their concept and their idea. And Harmer also stated that pictures are interesting and have a power to engage students during learning process. That's why I choose Crossword as a media and method to help me in teaching vocabulary. Okay, next is research problem. I have 4 research question in here. First is, how is the implementation of Crossword with picture in vocabulary teaching based on teacher reflection? Second, how is students' response in learning vocabulary with Crossword with pictures based on students' perspective? The third, what improvement do the student get after the application of Crossword with pictures in learning vocabulary based on students' perspective? And what difficulties do students face while using the media in learning vocabulary based on student perspective? And the purpose of this research, of course, to investigate teacher reflection and student perspective toward the implementation of Crossword with pictures, such as students' improvement, students' response, and student difficulty in learning vocabulary for junior high school. And the limitation of the research, I only focused the implementation of Crossword with pictures in the AF grade, and I took based on chapter 6 until 7 from the A English course book 2017 revised edition, and I conducted this research at my PLP activity in October until November 2019, and the interview session was done in July 2020. This, by the way, the interview session was done with voice call due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And the significance of the research, the teacher can use Crossword with picture as a medium to support the teaching and learning process, and they also can share this media to the other teachers so they can improve their teaching strategies in delivering material, and the student can be interested in learning vocabulary and they can have easiness in learning vocabulary. The definition of key term in here I have 4. They are vocabulary, Crossword with picture, teacher reflection, student perspective. Okay, the next is review of related literatures. I have teacher reflections. 2.2 I have students perspective. The third is teacher problem in teaching vocabulary. Fourth, students difficulty in learning vocabulary. And the fifth is factors affecting students' successfulness in learning vocabulary. It has internal factors and external factors. And in internal factor, it contains definition of interest in learning vocabulary and students' interest in learning vocabulary. Number 6 is method in teaching vocabulary, and 2.7 has media in teaching vocabulary, which contain with Crossword, the advantage of using Crossword, and types of Crossword, and Crossword with pictures. Okay, the next is research design. I choose qualitative descriptive research as my research design because refers to Franklin and Wallen. It's a study that investigates the quality of relationship, activities, and material by relying on the point of view from participants by describing and analyzing them subjectively. It involves claim of knowledge and in the form of narrative, and it usually uses words rather than numbers. And the research setting in here, I conducted this research as SMP Kota Jambi with 15 participants as my subject, from representative of 32 students in the AF class, and I use purposive sampling to choose my participant because it's a data collection technique which participants are selected deliberately based on the criteria by the research. And the criteria itself, I use participant performance in the form of the lowest score or students who got remedial. So I choose 15 participants who got the lowest score or got remedial in the AF class. And the research instrument in here, I have two. First is teacher diary, and the second is interview. Teacher diary is used to answer question about the implementation and the teacher reflections toward the implementation in teaching vocabulary. And teacher diary in here is an interesting and simple instrument where the teacher can express their real experience about what happened during the teaching and learning process that happened in the classroom. And I use buku tindak lanjut, buku rencana tindak lanjut PLP Unja tahun 2019 sampai tahun 2020 as my teacher diary. And about the interview itself, interview has aimed to answer questions about students' response, students' improvement, student difficulty toward the implementation of crossword with pictures in learning vocabulary. And in here, I choose 15 participants because according to Cross and McKenzie, 15 until 20 participants already representative all participants and information needed. And in here, I use open-ended questions as my type of question. And all of the question was adapted from Lobis, and I modified them with several questions that are related to my research question. And all of the interview was conducted 15 until 14 minutes in different time and different days. And the next is the technique of data analysis. For the teacher diary, the first thing first that I did is I made a summary in the form of table, and I divide every event into several parts. There are constraint which contain with difficulty that happen, and then solution include suggestion from the supervisors, and the last is the student responses which talk about the students' response that in the classroom when the implementation of crossword with pictures. And after that, I will analyze the data into paragraph. And the interview itself, first I will record all of interview sessions and I will make them into transcript, and I will give the transcript into the students so they can recheck again whether it is right or not to what they already conveyed to me. And I use thematic analysis data to analyze my interview result. Because of thematic analysis is known as a flexible method which enables the researchers to focus on the data in various ways, and it is effective in examining in detail the qualitative data that the researcher has in order to find the link between the data obtained. And here the step is the first is familiarizations. And here the researcher will recognize the data. I made the transcript and read the result of the transcript and made a note in there. And next is coding. Coding in here, I will give highlight to each information that related to my research questions, and I will generating themes. I look at the code and start to make a group based on the code in there. Like example, I divide them into several groups which has same problem. And next is reviewing themes. In that, I will read again all of the themes, it is correct or not, or it is already accurate or not. And then next is defining and naming the themes. I will give naming all of the themes. And the last one is writing and writing up, I will in here, the researcher wrote data analysis into academic text. And for the last is trustworthiness of the data. To find the level of accuracy in the qualitative study, I use credibility as my trustworthiness, because it is an evaluation of whether the research finding represent a credible conceptual interpretations of the data from the participants' original data. So it means that I will give the students the transcript so they can recheck again it is correct or not, or is it already matched with what they have conveyed to me before. Okay, the next chapter is finding and discussion. In this chapter, there are 4 themes. The first is teacher reflections toward the implementation of Crossword with picture in teaching vocabulary. Okay, from the table below in this PPT, you can conclude that the problem that mostly faced by the teacher are the unconducive classroom situation and the student were hard to be controlled. This problem was same as stated with Thakur and Kaiser and Yavuz. This problem are overcrowded class by Thakur and organizational problem, crowded and noisy along with talkative students by Kaiser and Yakus. The researcher also had difficulty in finding match or suitable picture and color because of all of them were automatically provided from website that created this media. But other than that, this media make the student interested, responsive, they give good response, they actively participate during the learning process, and it makes the learning process attractive and fun. It's same with the statement from Jorogon, Dung, and Gatiga, which say that Crossword is a game that can make learning process become attractive and fun. And also the use of pictures in Crossword itself give simplicity to the students to understand and attract their attention, and for the teacher itself, it can give easiness to support the teaching and learning process, like as stated by Dawi. Okay, the next themes is students' response in learning vocabulary with Crossword with picture. The first is interest. Interest is one important factor that can affect students' successfulness during the learning process. And there are 14 participants become interested in learning vocabulary because the implementation of Crossword with pictures. As Five said that he usually get bored easily during the learning process, but when the implementation of this media, he become more interesting in learning vocabulary. It is proof that statement from Jorogo, Nungung, Gantigia, they said that the Crossword is a game that can make teaching and learning process becomes attractive and fun. And the next from the S7, he said that the material became more interesting and easier to understand because the use of picture as a clue in there. As in the research of Willingham, said that the pictures can help students retain their concept and idea. And Harmon say pictures are attractive and have a power to engage students during the learning process. That's why the use of pictures in Crossword with media makes the students interesting and easier to understand the material. And the next is boredom and drowsiness. There are 12 students become not easily to get bored or sleepy during the learning process because the applications of Crossword with picture. One of them say that the learning process, she become more excited even when she do the assignments. And the next is willingness in asking and answering teacher questions. Because in my opinion, willingness in asking and answering teacher question without being appointed is a depiction of their enthusiasm in learnings. Because student enthusiasm illustrates that students have an interest in paying attention and enjoy the activity. So there are 7 participants volunteer to ask questions and answer teacher questions without being told or without having appointed first. And there are 2 participants who still depended on their mood, even they do know the answers. And the last, there are 3 participants who still afraid to raise their hands because they have no confidence and they afraid if their answer is wrong. And the last is like learning English vocabulary with this media. So there are 13 participants who like learning English vocabulary with this media. They said that the learning process become very fun and easier with this media. It is proof from the statement from Franklin, Pear, and Lewis that say this media could make students enjoy to study vocabulary and also increase their learning ability and make the students understand the meaning of words. Okay, the next is the students' improvements after the implementations of Crossword with pictures. Crossword itself has a lot of advantage. According to Franklin, Pitt, and Lewis, this Crossword can make students enjoy to study vocabulary. It can increase their vocabulary abilities and make students understand the meaning of words. And stated by Dan, Crossword also can expanding students' vocabulary knowledge. In the term of grades, all of the participants fell increment with their scores, even though only one of them, as 12, said that he only got a bit of increment, but he felt that he become more understand with this because of new vocabulary because of this media. And to strengthen the participant statement, I put the result of catatan hasil analysis before and after. The left is before and the right is after. And I can conclude that the number of students who got remedial was reduced to only 7 students. And even though it still has this class still has remedial students, but we can see that the percentage of their score increase. So this media can increase their score. And after that, in the term of vocabulary learning, this is means that I want to know they become easy or understand in memorizing new vocabulary. And all of the participants feel that they become easy in understanding and memorizing new vocabulary. This result was same with the Saputro research, which he explained that the study, the Crossword made the 7th grade at SMP 1 Tawang Harjo Grogon easily in comprehending and memorizing new vocabulary. And the last is ability in answering teacher question. In here, there are 10 participants become easy in answering teacher questions, and they become often to answer teacher question. And I ask again to the participant, do you really understand with your answer? So he said that yes, he understand. So I can conclude that this media can improve students' vocabulary skills and expand students' vocabulary knowledge. Okay, the 4th themes is students' difficulties in learning vocabulary. While using Crossword with pictures, there are 2 kind of difficulties in here. First is the unsuitable media compositions. The unsuitable media composition is the difficulty that comes from the media itself. Why? Because pursuant to Westwood, media is one of teaching and learning aids which was part of external factors that can cause adversity to the students in learning English vocabulary. It divided into 2. First is the unclear pictures was faced by 4 students. In here, the problem is the picture in Crossword picture were too small, as we can see from the picture in the left. it is because of how no matter how much the clue or the crossword that I want to make, all of them will load into one page. And the next is the unfit color. The unfit color in here was faced by 4 participants. The problem is there are some image that doesn't have match color with the picture should be. It just means that as we can see from this picture, this is the crab, and we know the crab has red colors, and in here is green. So there's a lot of students asking me what animal is it. And the next difficulty is the lack of vocabulary knowledge. According to Thornberry, students usually face difficulty because of pronunciations, meaning, spelling, length and complexity, grammar, range, connotation, and idiomaticity in learning vocabulary. And in this research, there are three kinds of factors that make the student difficult in learning vocabulary. The first is meaning, that faced by 6 participants. They say that they like the pictures, but they didn't understand the meaning. Meaning has really good factors, because if vocabulary has many meaning and combination word which will give confusion to the learners. That's why meaning is really, if we doesn't have knowledge about vocabulary meaning, it will make it difficult to solve the crossword. And the next is pronunciation and the length and complexity. This problem was faced by only one student, that is S9. They say that the way to pronounce new vocabulary makes her difficult to learn a new vocabulary, because of words that difficult to pronounce are hard to learn. And I said again why, and give me the example. And she said that because like the word fight, right, it is long, has a long words which make her difficult to remember, because long words and complex words tend to be hard to learn by the learners. That's why the pronunciation and the length and complexity makes S9 difficult to learn new vocabulary in memorizing and understanding new vocabulary. Okay, the last is conclusion and suggestions. So the implementation of crossword with pictures in teaching vocabulary went well enough. The students give good responses, they participate actively, they became enthusiastic, interested during the learning process. And then, even though the classroom situation was not really conducive and the students were hard to be controlled, and the students' responses were really good while learning vocabulary with this media. They became interested in learning vocabulary, and they didn't feel any boredom or drowsiness, and they have willingness in asking and answering teacher questions without having a point at first, and they like learning English vocabulary with this media. And after that, all of the students get improvement after the application of crossword with pictures in learning vocabulary. Those improvement is like in the term of grade, they become easy in memorizing and understanding the new vocabulary, and they also can answering all of the teacher questions. And after that, there are two types of difficulty that faced by the students. The first is the unsuitable media compositions, which contain with unfit colors and unclear pictures. And the last is the lack of vocabulary knowledge, which contain with meaning and then pronunciations and the length of the word itself. And the suggestion in here, for the teachers should be more creative in teaching vocabulary to make the student interested and not easily get bored. and so they can become easily understand the lessons. And then teachers should be more able to manage the class and control the students. For the student itself, the student should be more confident, not afraid to make mistake in answering questions, and they should be more motivated to learn new vocabulary outside and inside the school. They should be keep practicing their vocabulary knowledge so they can use the vocabulary in their daily life. And for future researchers, I hope the future researchers can examine, provide some input, and develop this research, because of this research is far from perfect. I think that's all my presentation about my thesis. I'm sorry if there is a lot of wrong pronunciations and too much talk in here. I hope you have a good day. See you.